All right, so this is what I was doing today. I forgot to start recording, but squirrel's over there bitching. I've got this motor here, 2.3. That motor there, 2.3. I've been working for about 4 hours. These are the tools I got to work with, and a few little pieces here. Okay, so the AC compressor wasn't no good, and either the evaporator or condenser leaks, one of the two, I don't know which. Can't keep Freon in it more than an hour or two. So I just cut the AC lines out of it. I'm gonna take that out of here, get rid of it. That way this ain't in front of my radiator and just all the air coming through the front gets to the radiator. This motor here lacks a lot of power. I'm suspecting either cracked pistons or leaky valves. It also, let me see, let's see if we can tell. Well, actually, that's still pretty clean in there. When I first got it, I cleaned that out. It was full of oily film, like it had a lot of blow by. This one, I took out of a 96 parts truck. She's relatively clean in there. I could only get one of the quick disconnects apart. That one I couldn't get apart. I spent about 2 hours on that. And down in there, there's the quick disconnects for the fuel line on this rail, and I can't get them apart. So I think what I'm gonna do, as you can see, I've started taking stuff off up here at the intake. I'm just gonna unbolt this upper intake, take it out the way, lift the whole injector rail, set it back over here. Then I'm gonna come over here when I go to put this motor back in, and I'm gonna take this whole upper intake off right here. Then I'm gonna remove this rail. Before I put that rail back in, I'm gonna lean it back, get everything else done, lean it back, hook up the battery, turn it over, build up some fuel pressure, and see what the spray pattern looks like out of these injectors, just in case. I know how this motor runs. I know how that motor ran when I pulled it. That motor ran like a scalded dog. I'm going to have to change the wire harness because this is a standard shift truck. As you can, well, you can't see because there's a glare on the glass. There we go. See a shifter over there? It's a standard shift truck. This come out of automatic. Sitting right over here in the passenger seat. I have motor mount there. Motor mount I picked up today. In this box there's a timing belt, tensioner, and water pump. And wrapped up in this is a pilot bearing. I had to do the clutch in here once before, and the pilot bearing was fine. So I wrapped it up in some oily paper towel and stuck it in some cellophane and saved it because I knew when I stored this motor, when I got ready to do the swap, I'd need a pilot bearing. But yeah, that's what we've been up to today. I got all this stuff out of it in about 2.5 hours. And I spent about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, trying to get the fuel lines loose. I'm tired of messing with them. This is off my alternator. Goes back to my battery for my audio setup. I'm not putting the AC compressor back on. What I'd like to do is get me some nice solid steel and make me a different bracket to bolt on here and here to put a second alternator for the audio system. Yeah, so that's what we got going. I'll film the rest of it as I go. Maybe I might be able to start back on it tomorrow. I hope I can start back on it tomorrow. But as soon as I start back on it, I'll set my phone over there by my quail pen and record while I'm working on it. I meant to do it, and by the time I got done messing with it today, I realized, oh shit, I forgot to record. So yeah. Little 2.3 got a header on it from the factory. I don't know what they put a header on this motor for. I don't know. I guess because it needs every little bit of help it can. Alright, well, that's it. I just wanted to show what I got going on. And why am I changing the motor? It ain't even a lack of power, because this thing ran just fine. It's never let me down. I went to change this alternator and noticed that there's a bolt up here, the bolt midways that holds that bracket onto the block. Well, here it is right here. You got a bolt there, and a bolt there. This upper bolt, this bolt's broke off flush in that block, and it's got this one bolt holding that whole bracket on. I got a new one of these too. We'll change that while I'm in there. That's pretty rusty. But that's why I'm changing the motor. There ain't no way I was gonna try to fight them bolts out that broke off flush in that block sitting inside this truck. So I'm gonna get this motor out of it. I'm gonna lay it on its side. I'm gonna on the engine stand, and I'm gonna slide it up under a drill press where I can drill nice and straight. I'm gonna drill the bolts and try to easy out them. If that don't work, I'll just drill it all the way and tap them and slightly oversize the bolts and be done with it. I'm gonna take this engine, I'm gonna break it down, I'm gonna check it for leaky valves and cracked pistons, and I'm gonna check the cam lobes, and I plan on rebuilding this motor, painting it all up, and making it nice and beautiful. I originally was gonna do that with this one, but then I noticed these bolts. I wanted to break that one down, paint it all up, clean it real good, paint it to put it in here. But yeah, these broke off bolts had different plans for me. When I get ready to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and degrease and spray all of this and clean up all this wiring mess. There's a lot of excess wiring here that definitely originally don't go with it. Let me see here. We got, this is actually, I made that. It gives me 1-speed windshield wipers. Here's the ground for it. There's my power and ground to my starter. This is power to my amplifier. There's a 4-gauge ground I'd put on it. I got another one there I'd put on it that I have off right now, where I did the big three here to the alternator, and then battery to the frame, battery to the motor. So, and of course there's the factory ground right there. The factory, they had this grounded to the AC compressor bracket. I'm gonna move that. We're gonna ground that somewhere different. But yeah, this is how far I got with it today. In 4 hours, had them come loose, this motor would be out this truck, and I wouldn't get to film me taking this motor out this truck. Once I get it out, I gotta get the wire harness off it, get that wire harness off that one, because like I said, that was automatic. This is a standard. Get this wire harness on that motor, and get her on back down in here with some new motor mounts. And as you can see, yeah, them motor mounts are done. They're done. Get that wire out the way. They're done. Both sides are like that. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Share my channel with your friends. I do a lot of things. Gaming, air gunning, audio, you know. I post a lot of videos. Not super good at none. Pretty decent at all of them. And we'll catch you next time around. If you like watching this kind of crap, stay tuned. And from here on out, everything I do, Cam's gonna be there filming. And we're gonna film getting this motor up out of here. And we're gonna film getting it ready, getting that one ready. And then we're gonna film getting that one back in here. Till later, North Florida Air Gunner, out. Alright guys, so I wasn't able to get these quick disconnects to come loose. Probably because they've been on these engines so long, never been disconnected. You see, when I took this engine out the truck, I just cut the line, got tired of messing with it. I got that one off, that was it. Same thing with the truck that the motor's going in. I couldn't get them off. So what I did was I took the upper intake off it. I removed the injector rail from its position, took the injectors out and the fuel pressure regulator out. And if you take and turn that rail upright, you can wiggle it back down through there. And I'm just setting it off to the side right here. And that's how you do that if you can't get these lines loose with these little 2.3s. I'm sure there's going to be more you guys run into that problem doing these little trucks. So, yeah. I'll get back with y'all later. So I've been degreasing on this engine here. Just going to go in the truck a little. And you know what I'm noticing as I degrease on this motor? That freeze plug's new. That freeze plug's new. That freeze plug, that one. All them freeze plugs are new. That timing belt looks new. This head's got a green mark on it. I believe this engine I got to go in this truck has been going into and possibly rebuilt, so that might be a good thing for me. It needs degreased and cleaned up because of kid was using the truck I bought for a parts truck. He was using it for a mud truck. And he tore the automatic transmission up in it. But all in all, this motor don't look bad. This motor don't look bad. These injectors are red. Factory injectors were orange, so that has been changed. I mean, yeah. So what we got left to do now, I got that fuel rail passed up back through there because, like I said in the other video, I couldn't get the quick disconnects unhooked. I have the exhaust undone down here. I'm going to take the starter out of it and start getting bell housing bolts out, and then I can set the truck back down and start pulling the motor with the old hoist and adjustable bar there. Yes, sir. See you in a little bit. Progress being made, guys. Progress being made. She's out of there. Now I got to get the clutch assembly, pilot bearing in that one, wire harness on it, off of that motor. I'm going to take transmission out the truck. I'm going to take transmission out the truck because it's going to be probably going to be easier to mate that transmission back to that motor on the ground. Didn't really want to have to do that, but yeah. I didn't want to have to do that because I didn't want to have to mess with that stupid sleeve cylinder again. That thing sucks. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Uh, Harbor Freight engine hoist. You have to run it all the way out to the second holes at the quarter. It still ain't quite long enough, and especially if you got oversized wheels on the truck. I got these 17s. I lifted that as high as it'll go, and you simply let the air out your front tires so that the front end will drop. Once that front end drops, you turn your engine sideways, grab the exhaust manifold, and pull it. Well, till later, guys. I'll get back at you. Well, guys, got that motor out. Might be a good thing I bought new motor mounts, huh? I think that might have been bad for a little while. I don't know. What do y'all think? Look where it was. Motor was laying on the wow. But guys, this was a $500 truck. Other than putting the clutch in it once, I ain't had to do nothing else to it. I've been driving it for over 5 years. So that ain't too bad. It ain't too bad. See you again in a little bit. Alright guys, a little more progress. Here's the old motor. Here's the motor that's going in it. That's heat shield on that wire. They ran them wires right over top of the exhaust manifold. That's okay. But there's the wire harness off of this motor for the auto trans, and this is the wire harness for the standard shift. These are for the injectors. These go back by the transmission for O2 sensors and stuff. So yeah, we're gonna leave these injectors, and when I go to put the motor back in, I'm gonna hold this fuel rail up like that, wiggle that fuel rail back up through there, because like I said, I couldn't get none of these undone. Go ahead and clamp this safety clip back on. I reckon ain't no sense in that safety clip being off, being I couldn't get the dang lines unhooked. I don't know what moron decided to design these and call them quick disconnect, because there ain't shit quick about disconnecting these fucking things, if you can get them disconnected at all. Whoever made them quick disconnects, if y'all know who it is and y'all see them, do me a favor, slap shit out of them for North Florida Air Gunner. But okay, what I got left to do. Alright, before I put that engine in there, I gotta take this clutch assembly and put it on that block, and this exhaust from there down to be able to put back on there. And that's it. Oh, I changed these 4 plug wires over to that motor because, you know, it's got 8 plugs and all. Use that starter. Yeah. There's the starter wires laying down there. Power steering pump lines laying in there. My heater hoses up here. But yeah, all in all, I'm getting really close. Okay, what else did I do? I pulled both of these cores out of there, got rid of all them lines because something leaked anyhow. I had refilled this AC, and it wasn't even an hour later, it was plumb empty again. So now when I go back, I'm gonna have all of this is open. All of this is open, no big fat lines coming across the top. That gets rid of this, that long line there. I got rid of all of that just because it, you know, like I said, it didn't work. Wasn't no sense of having it in there in the way. I'm not going to pay to have that fixed. I do everything as cheap as I can. It was a $500 truck. It's a spare radiator. So actually, original radiator. I thought it had busted, and what was really happening was the overflow tube wasn't on it, and the water was coming out there and running down the side. It looked like the tube was on there, and it really wasn't. I suspect maybe this might have a blown head gasket and was pumping exhaust gases back into the radiator. It never ran hot. I drove this for 5 years with it doing that. It never ran hot. But I'd have to add water to it pretty regular. Other than that, it was great. Got me some spare plug wires down here. Guess this side's already on that motor over there. These plug wires were actually on that truck 5 years ago when I bought it. These plug wires were actually off of that motor. I stole them plug wires and the coil packs. These are the original coil packs off the old motor, but they're bad. I was getting a code for coil packs, and the ends pulled out of some of the original plugs when I went to check the plugs in this motor. So I stole some wires and the coil packs off the other. This motor's gonna get broke down. I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna see what's wrong with it. I bet this motor's worth rebuilding. The plugs in it looked really good. So I'm gonna assume this is probably still a good motor. I want to check the rod bearings, the main bearings. I want to check it for leaky valves. I want to make sure it doesn't have no cracked pistons because it is a high mileage 2.3 and it's never been going into. Like I said, I am sure this one's been going into. It ain't been too long since I changed the oil in this. This oil filter don't have hardly any miles on it. Maybe I should take that oil filter off and put on this other motor, because I have no idea how long this oil filter's been on this one. I bet not very long though. Alright, this engine's supposed to have a frickin' where is it? That oil's pretty black. We got fresh oil. Let's see what the oil in this one's looking like. The oil on this one's looking better. I think this oil should look good. Well, it's slightly dark, but it's definitely better than that other motor. So I think I'm gonna cheap out and take this oil filter I put on this motor not too long back and stick it on that one. Just because we're out here in the woods now. We're not in the hood no more. We're gonna redneck it. I'm gonna go ahead and put that used clutch on the other motor, because it really ain't been too long since I put this clutch on here. The clutch is relatively new. I don't see a whole lot of clutch dust build up on it. So yeah, we're gonna let it ride. And I got a brand new throwout bearing in it, slave cylinder. Did that when I did the clutch. Well, I can't say brand new, actually. I did that about 2 years ago. But yeah, that's where we got, and I'm out here all by myself. Very few hand tools, guys. It don't take much. Look, and a lot of these sockets I haven't even used. You got some quick disconnect tools for the fuel lines, which ain't working, so I showed you the workaround for that. I've used 2 sizes of 1/2-inch drive impact sockets, a swivel, a couple of adapters, because I don't have a full set of either 3/8, 1/4-inch, or 1/2-inch drive, so I'm sort of adapting to some others. I used 1 number 8 Torx, or not Torx, Allen, and I'll tell you what that was for. They had taken this sensor out of this motor, and being I had the wire there to hook back up to it when I took the harness off that one, and that one had the sensor, I took the plug here out of it and put the proper sensor in its place. That's the intake off of that motor. It's going to stay with that motor. Well, you use this because, like I said, this motor ran very, very, very well. Now, if this thing don't run worth the shit, when I get it back in there and hooked up, I'm going to know it's something in the wiring harness. And then I'll start little by little rerunning wire. You can't buy these harnesses anymore. So what you have to do is get wire, rolls of wire, this gauge, preferably multicolored, you know, a bunch of different colors. And you have to figure out which of these pinouts go to where, cut it off back here, take the up to where it goes, and make you a new run. And of course that'll be external on here, so you would need some conduit to run it through to make the new harness. But slowly but surely, you'd eventually end up cutting this old harness completely out of it. I won't throw this harness away, because other than the wires that go to the transmissions, it's the same as that harness. This one never did burn through. See, this harness don't have, let's see, it comes up there. Yeah, see these 3 plugs for the transmission? It's totally different. That's because these are for the automatic. These are the ones that go back to the standard trans and the O2 sensors. So that, you know, there's only a little difference in the wire harnesses, but all these other ends, you know, if I get an end that breaks, all them ends will go on this harness. Of course, you had to splice them in, but, you know, no biggie. Splice them in there. Alright, guys, well, that's how far I've gotten today. I'm going to call it a day. I did notice I'm going to have to locate a couple transmission bolts because the 2 top bolts were missing. Now, somewhere in the shop, I have them bolts, so I had to search. But, I mean, it's not something I'm going to have to go somewhere else to locate bolts for. I just have to get in my shop and really hunt, see what I can find. I really don't think I need to take that transmission out to make that motor. I really don't. I don't think it's going to be no different than trying to mate the, you know, I put the alignment tool in it. I don't really see how it's going to be a whole lot different than trying to mate the motor to the transmission, or the you know, the transmission to the motor with the engine in the truck. It will be easier to just go ahead and bring it out, though, I'm sure. So that's probably what I'll do. That way I can stick it in gear. I can slip it into gear and rotate it to line the splines up in the clutch. Alright, guys. Like I said, I'm going to call it a day for now. I'll get back at y'all tomorrow. Peace. Okay, so got the transmission out. We're degreasing and pressure washing the old transmission. Some type of writing all over this thing on the tail and there. GI something something something, GI 10 something something something, QAS. I ain't sure what the writing's for. I don't know if it's been rebuilt, replaced, what. It's got black gasket maker on it. I bet it's been rebuilt. So I got this motor all cleaned up. I got my clutch and all off the other one. I really could use a new flywheel, but you know what? I'm going with it. I've got this all degreased and cleaned up. Look at there. Yes, sir. Finna climb in there and change the motor mounts out. So I got some new mounts. And I'm gonna get the clutch stuff on this motor, and we're gonna mate the two right here, and then pick her all up, set it in one unit. Yeah, that's where I've gotten so far. Day 3. What time is it? It's 2:52, 3 o'clock. So 9 hours. 9 hours I've put into it so far, and I'm almost ready to stick the motor back together. I do still have to take the intake off before I go back in. I'm waiting for that last thing so that I can work the fuel rail back up through the intake like I said. And what I'm basically going to do, your fuel rail sits like this, of course. Let's say this is the fuel rail. We all know it's radiator hose, but we'll come in from under the motor and bring it right up in like this. Right like that is how I'm going to get that fuel rail in, and then set it back in place. That's how we're going to do that, because I couldn't get them stupid quick connects loose. I don't know why they call them, like I said, I don't know why they call them quick connect. Ain't nothing quick about them. My first day was 4 hours on it, but 2 hours of it was doing the truck, and 2 hours was trying to get those loose before I finally gave up. I said, you know what, screw this. All right, guys, that was today's update. I'll get you some more updates when I get a little further with it. Engine getting back in there. All right, guys, engine is back in the truck. One issue I run into was the jack would hit the front of the truck before you could ever get the motor back far enough. And I've got that boom out further than you're supposed to have it. So here's what you do about that. You hook your ratchet strap. See that ratchet strap hanging there? It's wrapped around that rear axle there. And it hooked onto the muffler hanger over there. Okay? And then I got a jack sitting this way so it can roll up under the transmission mount to hold that up, and then you can ratchet that strap and it'll pull that engine back if you got long enough chain up here. But yeah, motor back in the truck, guys. Next video will be trying to fire it up.